ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly video game podcast releasing every Thursday and Fridays. I am your host, Alex Stadnick, and I'm honored to be joined by the panel to discuss what feels like it's been a long time coming. It's been a long road, folks, but we're finally here. Halo, the series, is finally over for season one. For season one, not forever, like I'm sure some people on the panel would like to think. And we're going to go into it. So the structure of the episode is a little different this week, but I'll get into that. But first, let me introduce the panel. The EIC, the King of Comics, to my right, Andrew Reiner. Hello.
Alex, you know what? I used to say movie and TV critics had it easy because movies are like 2 hours, 3 hours long.
Right.
And TV shows, an hour, 40 minutes, 20 minutes.
Right.
Where games, you don't know how long they are. But having gone down this path with Halo, torture at times, just an assault on the senses. And I was dumbfounded. Just like, I was like, oh my God, I got to watch one more episode. Please be good. Please be good. Oh no, what are they doing? No!
Yeah. We didn't.
So all the critics out there, movies, TV shows, you got a tough job.
Yes, they do. We also have below me, Brian Shea, the online content director, the beautiful boy himself. Hello, sir.
Hey, Alex. It's such a mixed bag this entire season. This episode in particular, such a mixed bag. So many things that I liked, so many things I absolutely hated. And I know we're going to get into that, but thank you so much for having me back once again.
You are welcome. And then we had to get her back, folks. She did such a great job and everything she does. But the Rotten Tomatoes certified critic, the founder of But Why Though, one of the best critics in the business, Kate Sanchez, back again. Hello.
Hi. And I'm very happy that you called that out, Andrew. Because that was me, like episode 3 for this. My husband was like, I can dip. And I was like, well, I can't because I'm doing every one of these.
Yeah. So,
very happy for you.
Hats off to you, my friend. Yeah.
What a tough job. Yeah.
Yeah. It's easier when you can just binge it all because then you can get it out of the way. But the week to week stuff is.
Oh, you build it up in your head. You remember the bad stuff or the good stuff. You get excited and then they knock you down. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kate, how have you been since we last spoke? I think it's been maybe a month we last had you
Yeah.
on, something like that.
Yeah. I've been really good. A lot of it's been really heavy releases coming out, both theatrical and on streaming. So I've been extremely busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing good. I'm very happy to be back.
For sure. Yeah. We're happy to have you back. You take the place of a certain Mr. Van Aken who was just couldn't handle all the awesomeness of the Halo series. So it's been great having you. Let's get into it. Like I said, this is gonna be a little different just because we want to make sure we also kind of go over our impressions of the main series, right? So today we're going to talk about the finale, right? I'm not going to do beat by beat quite as much, but I'm going to hit the main points, right? So we start off directly after Maki, Mickey, every other pronunciation, whatever. She touches the artifact. She sends out the waves, and everyone is either vaporized or is just fine. Didn't understand the why people were picked in that way, but basically, Chief has this standoff with the Spartans, lets them know that Halsey is treacherous as she has been, and finally flips the other two Spartans to Kai and his side. And they basically try to track both of them down and fail miserably in both cases, right? Mickey flies off in the Covenant ship, right? She has the second piece of the artifact. Halsey appears to be caught, and let me just say, Halsey for MVP. Halsey and Kai, like 2024, like I would vote. Well, actually, I take that back. I would not entrust Halsey with my freedom here. But
Kai is a himbo and deserves the world. That is my thoughts.
Honestly,
she's so good.
Kai quickly became one of my favorite characters. I think Halsey was terrific, but like for completely different reasons. Kai was amazing and like unexpected. I like Natasha McElhonney, I think is her name. I really like her as an actress. So like I expected to like her portrayal of Halsey, but like I wasn't as familiar with Kai and her actress. So I was just like, I'm all in with both of those characters.
Yeah, for real. And they, especially Kai, I feel like is symbolic for me of what could have been if they didn't go the Chief route with this, because I think you can have a great Halo show without Master Chief, just like you can have a great Halo game without Master Chief, as Reach and ODST have proven, right? But yeah, she's been great this entire season. And Halsey, like, I love the villain role for her. I think that it has been great, and she epitomizes that very well in this episode.
And she's the vehicle for everything at the end of the day. Every scene she is in is better because she's in it, but also because she manipulates literally anybody who comes into her orbit.
Yeah. She's the puppet master. So but yeah, I don't know. Any general thoughts on the beginning, or should I keep moving?
Keep rolling.
Keep rolling.
So, they fail in their attempt to get the artifact back, and they catch Halsey, but we'll get to that later. And basically Chief, once he rallies everyone, they go back to the star system, right, and like try to find the planet that they've been looking for. And it's through Make's through the Blessed One's tips to him that he knows that even though they can't find the Covenant planet on their maps, right, he knows like where to look, right? He knows like it's like the coalescence of shards or something like that. And it gave me the vibe of like I think it was episode 2 of Star Wars. I just watched this where Obi-Wan is looking for Geonosis, and I was like, oh, it's basically the same thing.
That was the exact throwback, because I just rewatched that trilogy a week ago, and I got the exact same vibes where he's like, wait, there's something that's not in the archives. It's incomplete.
Yeah.
And that's the exact same feeling that I got. So I'm with you. That's so funny you bring that up.
Yeah, I just watched episode 2 nights ago. But anyways, so Cortana and Chief end up trusting each other, or excuse me, Chief starts to fully trust Cortana at this point. They're going through space together. They're in a cool scene. They're like trying to find this planet, but it looks like Interstellar when they're like going around the black hole or whatever. Like cool scene, right, where things are falling apart.
A lot of shaking.
Yeah.
What I will say about that part, and because at first I didn't like Kai, but then my friend said, well, Kai's a himbo, and I was like, oh god, you're right. And there's a specific part when things are catching on fire and she takes off the piece, and I'm like, is she gonna hit the fire? I feel like she's gonna hit the fire. She doesn't. She like puts it out with an extinguisher, but I'm like, that would have been funny if she hit the fire.
Right.
And I feel like that, like, there's an endearing quality to her as a soldier in a way that you don't like. There's an endearing quality with her as a soldier and her experiencing life without that chip thing in a much better way, I think, than what you get with Chief. And I think that, like, I don't know, I just wanted more of just Silver Team. Like, I just wanted more of them. Well, because in general.
Yeah, and it has some of the best moments, like with Chief and Cortana too, right? Where that banter, like there's the sequence where they're fueling up the ship, right? And she's like, were you gonna shoot me? And and what's the other Spartan's name? I always forget.
Vanek and Riz.
Vanek and Riz. Yeah, Vanek is like, yeah, of course I was gonna shoot you. And then she comes back and he asks her, he's like, well, would you have shot me? And she was like, yeah.
I felt bad about it.
Felt bad about it. I was like, yeah. That's the kind of stuff that I love in those little moments were good. So they get to the Covenant planet. Mickey has delivered the artifact. They're starting that process up. It's also revealed that the Covenant's going to betray her.
Also, in this scene, like, big ups to Paramount for using the exact same set and level of special effects as 1995 Mortal Kombat. It legit looks like the temple where they fought Reptile, and like the CGI was about as good.
I thought it looked like it was like Pee-wee's Playhouse, like claymation. Like, I was like, this looks strange.
The vast budget differences, the vast budget differences per episode is very noticeable.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Which is
I saw that and I was like, it literally looked like a PS1 cutscene.
Yeah.
Which is wild considering this is your moment, right? This is the finale. This is where you prove if all of this heartache was worth it.
And the CGI improves when it goes close up, but whenever they do something large and try to make it grand, it fails. And I'm like, how does the network that has all of the Star Treks, which are multiple at this point, execute alien stuff bad?
Right. I don't understand it. Yeah, because like when they're up close to the grunts, I was like, oh, the grunts look good. But then like you said, with the panic, like with the elites running in, like I was like, oh boy. So they get to this planet, right? Cortana and Chief have, Cortana made Chief smile. It was beautiful, it was great. We finally get this peak that we really haven't got a ton of in the season, right? Where it's like they, Silver Team is squatting up. They're taking on this mission, and it feels like Halo, right? I could do without the inside of the helmet shots. We've talked about that enough, but like this is where, you know, you get the sniper scopes and you get the executions of the grunts and stuff like that. And it just felt, for one shining moment, it felt good. Felt really good.
I am a sucker for the in-helmet shots.
You like the
I'm not gonna, I love them. I'm a sucker for first-person stuff. I think I don't like it when it is all like that's all you get. Like that was that Hardcore Henry, I think was that movie.
Yeah.
Where it was all, that's too much and that made me sick. But I like switches to first person, especially when it is something that is supposed to be like adapting that type of thing, because it is at least understanding. And I think like the UI visualization in the helmet is actually executed well. But when you have it done so fast, you end up with shaky elements that get a little hard to watch at points, I will admit. But I think like this sequence is what the show has done well previously. Like when I was like episode 5 that I was on here for last time, like that's what gets people excited, and it was where it has its meat, because like even before that they drop in, like they have a full airdrop onto the planet, and it is so good. And I freaked out because I was like, this is it. He did the thing. This is the thing. And I think that this was probably the banter on the ship, looking at Silver Team functioning as a team, and seeing John in that Master Chief role and actually being a leader. That was where I think like this showed me what we should have gotten for the whole series. And it shows me what I want for season 2. I don't want anything else. I just want Silver Team like going around on their ship and doing stuff, because I think that would be very good.
Yeah.
But I think it's also like the high of it is what makes me think about the lows of the season, because I'm like, well, you could have done this all along and you didn't.
Oh, 100%. There was just, I mean, that's been our complaint the entire time, is there's not enough action. Like this is a first person shooter game that like just throws you right into the action almost immediately in every single mission. And it's like, all right, we're just like going to be sitting in a room talking to each other for 95% of the show.
Yeah. I think this episode especially like encapsulates everything from the show, the good and the very bad, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, like when it worked, when they have the action, it's like usually very good.
Yeah,
like when they were suiting up and like getting to do like the drop, and they're taking out the grunts one by one. They're sniping. I was like, Halo! And then we got to where we got to, and I was like,
your neighbors texted you like, "Are you okay? Who's over at his place?" So yeah, they assault the holy artifact city or whatever they're in. Covenant's freaking out, and then it's revealed that there's more Covenant under the surface, right? And they're screwed. Even though I do like I think Chief had a line where he's like, "It's only a couple hundred. We got this." And it was like,
I thought that was like, really good.
Right? Yeah, yeah. But it becomes like, you know, when they get closer and closer to the artifact and Maki or Mickey, I'm struggling with her name still, Mickey. I'm just gonna call her Mickey because that's what I keep thinking.
Well, Chief went back and forth on his pronunciation of her name.
Did he?
Yeah, like when they were like being all romantic and cuddly, like he called her Mickey, and then like it shifted to McKay, I think.
Yeah, it's because he's mad at her still, right? Like, yeah,
it's like when your parent uses your full name,
right?
Listen, there was a pandemic, there was a break in recording. You know?
Yeah,
memory gets a little soft,
a little fuzzy. Yeah. So basically. Oh, and see, I want to highlight the brute scene too, because the brutes come down too in a really cool fight. They use the gravity hammer. Like there are just these peeks into what this could have been.
But there was a moment.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say there was a moment where he takes out an elite who had an energy sword, and I was like, "Grab the energy sword! Grab the energy sword! Go toe to toe with the brute with the gravity hammer!" And then he just like threw him down. I'm like, "Oh, so close!"
Well, and there was that part like early on where Vanek picks up the needler, and he's like, yeah, this will do it. I was like, yes, it will.
Let's go. Yeah. And we saw him shoot it like one time, but so, and I may be missing some details here, but like, you know, Mickey observes that the Spartans are losing, right? She has this newfound fondness for humanity and John. She decides to help by touching the artifact and blowing away in a wild moment, blowing away a ton of the elites as they're attacking and stifling the Covenant force. This leads to John also going into the shared mind space of being on Halo with her. So he's decommissioned for the moment. Kai they're talking in Halo World or whatever. Kai observes that they need Chief, right? Like that didn't work. The Covenant are still coming. She kills Mickey in somewhat anticlimactic fashion.
Yeah.
I thought it was coming, and then it just kind of, it was the thing where it's like, oh, here's a little blood on my shirt, and now I'm dead. Goodbye. And it riles Chief, but he comes out of his slumber with like looking that all of his Spartans are down or beaten up. Like he thinks there's no way he can do this by getting out. He says to Cortana, I can't do both, right? I can't get the artifact out of here, and I can't save the team. Basically, in what it is one of the more bizarre choices in a show of bizarre choices, he's like, Cortana, you have to take over my body in something that in an unprecedented thing that Master Chief has never ever done, nor should have he. And I'm just I wanted to close the laptop at this point. Maybe this is just me. Kate, we can start with you. What did you think of this choice?
I didn't have a problem with it. It's
No?
not the game. No. But also, so just put it out there. I actually like live action adaptations of things because film is an extremely different medium than video games are.
Right.
So there are going to be vital changes just to the storytelling pieces. I think they overcorrected in some places. Like that piece where he goes into Halo World, why wasn't he helmeted? Like, I don't think that they understood when they needed a helmet and when they didn't. Like,
no, absolutely not.
Like, they took it off way too. Like, when Kai is like going through the ship, like after she's caused it to crash, I'm like, put on your helmet. Put on your helmet. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you putting on your helmet, Kai?
Right.
And so I think that points it out. But I think like this specific choice, I didn't mind because it's what was set up throughout the whole season. So while it may not be accurate to anything that happens in the games, it is cohesive with what the threat has been from Cortana the entire season. And for me, just looking within the show itself, it was John saying, this is no longer a threat because I actually trust you. You have become something more than just an AI. You've already proven that we're a part here. And so for me, that is the first, and we have season 2, so I'm not bothered by it because he could quickly be overrated in the first episode or 2, and I'm fine with it.
Better. Yeah.
But like it is a choice that gets made, and I think that it is fine for the show because it is showing John and Cortana finally like he says, like, I trust you. And I think that opens the door for him to be chief wife guy as he is in the games, which I am very fond of. Yeah. I understand why people don't like it. So I think it's totally valid not to. But I think within the show itself, it makes sense because it has been looming over everything.
Right. And I think that's a very good point. I think my problem with is it never... In the time that Chief is taken over by Cortana, it doesn't feel that different, right? Like he goes game 7 a little bit and like, starts to use plasma pistols, the worst weapon in Halo, to take out the entire scourge of the Covenant, right? But
she's a pretty new AI. She doesn't know all the weapons yet.
Yeah, she'll get there, right? But then she like commandeers the Pelican, which I was like, that's dope. You didn't need to take over John for this. Like that's something you could have done yourself. So it didn't feel earned for me personally.
That's fair.
It did kind of rub me the wrong way that like they set up like this big like one-on-one throwdown about to happen between Chief and like the head brute, and then the Pelican just takes him out. Like, oh, okay. As he was running towards Chief, it's just like mowed down. Like, oh,
so
okay.
That I agree with. I thought it was gonna be some knockout, drag out, and it was just Pelican.
Right.
Like, oh, he got hit by a car. Okay, that solves that.
Yeah. I don't know, Reiner. What did you think of this choice?
I can't wait for season 2 now. We're going to have to do another podcast. Because
No!
Episode 1 is going to be Cortana like, oh, what's this? A bagel? What's this taste like? Oh! And then she's going to be like, why does my stomach feel weird? And she's like, I got to pee! And it's going to be, the comic hijinks is going to be off the hook. It's going to be wonderful. I don't know what they're doing with this. Like it's heady science fiction that this would work, but like you said, he's going to be back probably in an episode or 2, like within 20 minutes that first episode, probably. Maybe 2 at the longest.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe this is how we finally get Stoic Chief, because Cortana's like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what emotion
I don't want
is.
to talk. Yeah, like I'm just gonna be quiet a little bit. Like maybe that's how we get it. But
and then Chief's gonna break free, and then he's gonna do the Kylo Ren where he just smashes the helmet, and then we never see it again.
I love it. So Chief gets taken over by Cortana. Cortana then grabs the artifact and helps the team up. Right, Kai is noticing that this is not Chief John as she knows him, but they escape and they get the artifact, leaving the prophets, the Covenant on, and Make's corpse on the planet. Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll
What do
get
we-
something.
What do we call him now? Like, is it Cortana Chief? Is it what name do we give this version? AI Chief?
Cortana. Yeah.
Is there like a ship name for Cortana and Chief that we could use? I
Oh.
don't know, but that
Yeah.
I would use that if it exists.
Oh, geez.
I'm sure there's someone in
There's
the
got to be
comments,
something out there. Yeah.
like, well, actually is us or something like that. I'm sure we'll look for it. So I'm trying to think last plot points before we get into overall impressions of the season. Halsey dies, quote unquote, but Miranda smartly realizes that it is a clone that she has implemented for herself. Oh, also shout out to Kai for killing the assistant. Great moment.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
moment. Boop.
That
dead.
was so
Goodbye.
good. So good.
Yeah. We don't
That
need to
weird
see
creep.
Igor ever again. Like, yeah, I'm happy. he's
Also,
gone.
by the way, the Chief Cortana ship name is Chief Tana.
Oh, there you go. I was Googling
There it is.
and I was getting like, this is the ship that they were on in this game. And I'm like,
Yeah. Like, I know what the
Chief Tana.
pillar
There
of
it is.
autumn is. Yeah. Yeah. So Halsey is still on Reach, but I'm assuming she'll get off there. Maybe. I don't know what the implication was there. But Miranda knows that, the UNSC knows that Halsey is out there and she's still scheming and plotting, which, like I said,
Yeah.
I really like. I did that in a season full of decisions I didn't like. I do like Halsey as more of the villain. Like, I think that's really cool.
yeah.
And I think the actress does a wonderful job with that. So
Yeah.
Oh, and then also missed this point. Halo is almost revealed. They know like the general area,
Yeah.
but not the specific location. So I think that's gonna be a big part, at least of the first
That's
part of
season
next
5,
season.
man. That's season 5. That's the finale.
We
We're
all
gonna
go
get
on
there.
a great journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think those are the main points. Miranda's not talking to Jacob Keyes. Chief is still
So
in the
this is what
sunken place.
This
Oh,
is what
yeah.
frustrates me
Pop
so
off. Let's hear it.
much.
Let's hear it.
Is that if Quan had been gone this entire season and I didn't have to sit through an episode of Dune Light and I didn't have to sit through her parts in the other episodes, I could have seen a more developed version of the relationship between Halsey, Keyes, and Miranda.
Right.
And that would have made all of those moments so much more impactful because I like Miranda,
Yeah.
I like Keyes, and I like Halsey. But I
Mhm.
think that so much of the weight that goes into Miranda not talking to Keyes and Miranda processing like what the clone tells her and
Mhm.
all of this, it's stuff that we didn't see. And in a show that is so heavy exposition with flashbacks all of the time for the first 5 episodes,
Right.
I think that like that's where that meat is.
Mhm.
And I feel more so than ever, and this may just be like a general like looking back thing from this little Miranda part, but like her character could have been beefed out more. Silver Team could have been beefed out more if they had just stopped splitting the storylines.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
that is my biggest complaint because I think that there is a good show within Halo. I just don't think they knew, like they diverted too much.
Yeah.
And that was the issue.
Yeah.
They had a problem with it because like there was no payoff for it either.
Yeah.
Like it was all like a self-contained story. I thought like for sure we'd
Mhm.
see like Soren like swoop in at the last minute to like help Silver Team out, or like Quan is going to
Exactly.
do something. But no, it was just completely a separate thing that happened. And it's like, all right, I guess those characters are just done.
So
There's
I
a
will
well
say
or something.
So I will say the only good thing I like about them not pulling them into the finale is one, it sucked because it made their story completely void because it didn't matter to the entire series.
Right.
But it means that they can leave them behind and then we
Yes.
can just go with Silver Team on their little ship through like trying to find the Halo.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
I love it. I hope that's the case, but in my gut, I'm sure
she's gonna
we'll
come
see
back
them
and it's
again.
gonna make me sad. That or Dune Light was a backdoor pilot for a Quan show.
Oh man, which you better believe we'll be reviewing on Game Informer every day. So what do we know going into season 2? We're gonna have to decouple Chief and Cortana, Chief Tana. We're gonna have to find Halsey, and we're gonna have to find the ring. Those are the main points. So I guess this is a good time to open it up and ask the question: what did we think of season 1 of Halo the series? Reiner, we can start with you.
I'm going to go with the Game Informer scoring metric.
Okay. Smart.
I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's exactly where I was going to. So
High five, man.
Great minds. I don't know where I am on the screen.
that looks good. Here, wait, Reiner, you do that. Do that again. Boop. And then I'm going to transfer that over to Shay. Ready, Shay? Right. Boop. There we go.
Boop.
Got it.
Yeah.
6.5. Yeah, I got you. 6.5, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
There's potential there, but it just meanders too much, as we just talked about, and is diverting its attention in the wrong places, and there's no payoff in those wrong places, and it felt like a waste of time. And there was a full episode to that, so that's a big miss. That's a big swing and miss. But when they're doing action, when the helmet's on, it's great. It's what I want as a Halo fan. Some of the Master Chief personal development stuff is also very good. The relationships that he's building with Silver Team and Cortana, I like all that. Halsey being the villain, good. But yeah, there's a lot there that's just really tough to buy into, and they force it on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Shay, how about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with him every step of the way. I think that without the Quan and Soren storyline, we could be talking like 7.5, maybe even an 8. But like, and also, I mean, they need to boost up the action, because again, the action was great, but I'm assuming that's a budgetary reason that they did not do more action scenes, because those were very well done. So, and like, the enemy is 100% CGI, so that's probably pretty expensive. I mean, we've seen a lot of shows kind of be like, hey, look at how good our CGI is in episode 1. And then by the time you get to the finale, it's like, oh, there's that character is hardly ever seen now.
You're right.
But yeah, like I think that there is potential there. It's kind of like the way I felt about like when I played Uncharted 1 for the first time, and I was like, I don't like this game, but like there's good stuff there, and like maybe the sequel will be really cool. And sure enough, the sequel was amazing. And
you willed that into existence. Well done.
Maybe
Brad.
I mean the same thing for Assassin's Creed 1. Like there was a lot of problems I had with Assassin's Creed 1, and then Assassin's Creed 2 was one of my favorite games of the generation.
Yeah, thank you for Assassin's Creed 2 as well.
Yeah. And the Ezio sex scene was wonderful. That was probably because of you too, right? Yeah.
Well, that was the reason that they put the "It's a me Mario" in the beginning.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you for your contribution to culture there. Kate, how about you?
I had to go and look at my review to make sure I didn't undercut myself, but I gave it a 7. I gave it a 7, and I gave it a 7 because what I love deeply. I love the action. I love like Jen Taylor as Cortana is like, yes. She is Cortana. Mm-hmm. She has some like weird, like uncanny valley teeth things that I don't really like in the design of the character, but like she is Cortana. I think Pablo Schreiber is actually a really good chief for the most part. When he's on, he is on. And I think all of those factors, that if it is UNSC focus and if it is chief focus, it is good. Everything else is what I knock it down for. And I think the reason I give it a 7 instead is because I think episode 7, as much as I like it was an episode of a good sci-fi TV show. It wasn't a good episode of Halo the series. And I think that was like the issue, is that it felt like a completely different show. Yeah. So the episode itself, when you watch it stand alone, it is good. But because you have to connect it to other pieces, it's bad. And so like because of those, I knock it down. And then the other big thing that bugged me outside of the CGI budget, why do they have such a terrible wig budget? Like nobody has good wigs on this show. It's so bad. It's so bad. And I feel bad for those actors. And Soren's prosthetic arm is also very badly done.
Yeah.
And a lot of the costume choices on Reach, everybody looks like they're out of like Xenon, Girl of the 22nd Century or whatever it was called.
Yes.
Like, and that frustrates me.
But without the good song.
Exactly. Without the good song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because personally, I'm like, look, we got Master Cheeks, and I'm so thankful for that. Also, how are you going to do this muscularly, like, amazingly built 6'5" man? Why are you going to put him in a sausage suit? Because he looks awful when he's not in the Master Chief suit.
Yeah, he was in that suit for like 3 episodes or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like
He looked like he was just wearing tires.
Yeah. It was like Michelin. It was Michelin Man cheap. Yeah. Like it's frustrating. And I think that what makes a costume piece extra frustrating is because you have all of the Star Treks. You have all of the Star Treks that do this very well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you have some of the people that work on like Strange New Worlds and Discovery and like stuff just come to this lot and give you a little
also,
help?
Watch The Mandalorian. Just watch it.
Yeah.
It's out
Well,
there.
and that's what I kept thinking all of the time, like when they were like, oh, because at the junket and then the red carpet stuff they did at South by, they were very focused on saying, well, we didn't keep him in the helmet all the time because you can't necessarily connect emotionally. I was like, yes, you can. You just have to trust your actor to do that.
Yep.
Right.
And I think Pablo Schreiber has the range to do that. You just have to trust him to be able to.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, because we're going to get Chief Tana stuff, that's going to push it to be more helmet focused and you'll get those moments. But I worry that it'll go off. But yes, 7.
Even just do the Iron Man situation where it's like he has the helmet on, but you can see like inside the helmet, like the visor cam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would work better than what we got.
That's a really good point.
But then there's also the scene where he went back to his house and like he had to put his helmet on to like see like the projected scan of like what his house used to be.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of walking around and like he had his helmet on and you could see that he was like emoting even though he had a helmet on. It's like we saw it work. Why not trust the actor, trust like the fact that it has worked through how many games has Chief been in? 7?
I was gonna say we've been doing this for 20 years, and he's one of the most beloved characters in the industry. Yeah. Like that is. And so.
I think it also comes to this poor, and I think that this is something that happens a lot with Western produced things, especially around action. There's an understanding that in order to tell a story, it must be verbal and it must be facial focused. But what you see a lot in especially East Asian cinema when it comes to action, you can tell a story just through body movement. You can tell a story just through fighting. And I think that is something that The Mandalorian did extremely well, is that they trusted Pedro Pascal to tell the story with his body, change his movements and emote. And I think like you're right, that house scene, Pablo is doing that. Do more of it. Yeah. Like it can work.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's a 6. I think I'm lowest here. I think it's because I am emotionally tied to this series, right? And it's like having my good friend like betray me a little bit, and it just like so many of these choices. Like there was the whole hullabaloo at the beginning of this of the creators being quoted or the writers being quoted as like, oh, we didn't look to the games. And it's like, that was misquoted to a certain extent.
Yes.
But then they kept backing it up that it feels like even if they did pull from the games, they just either didn't understand it or didn't care. And that's disheartening to me because I love, like Kate, like you said, I love pieces of this. Like, and I feel like Halo is one of the main series we talk about with feel, right? I don't feel like we talk about that a lot with other like games and movies and all sorts of art form, right? Yeah. Like Halo is a feeling. And if we're grading off that, I think this missed the mark incredibly outside of its pockets. I think, like I said, I'm emotionally tied into this. So I think that's why it's a little lower for me. Yeah. But I don't know if I genuinely don't think I would have kept watching this if it wasn't for this group here, which makes it even more special because we get to talk about it every week, right?
That was a point to run.
Yeah, that might be my tap out moment if I was not like obligated to watch it for work.
And the problem too I'm seeing is like, okay, we know where Halo is kind of, but is all of next season just going to be looking for Halo? Like, I thought that's what this season was. Like, how are we going to push this forward?
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is Cortana is going to try to decouple. They're going to go touch an artifact because Chief is going to be like stored in the artifact or something. They've kind of already touched on cloning and all that stuff. And then there's going to be a flashback where they see Chief drawing like a square and they're going to be like, there's a third artifact.
Enough about the artifacts.
That'll be our MacGuffin, is finding the third one.
Yeah. The show loves artifacts.
Yeah, it does.
That's it.
I will say to your point, because like getting to talk to Kiki, which is like how I know like that quote was ran with so extremely out of context because this woman has been writing in the Halo universe for a decade.
Right.
However, talking with her, like actually, because I think it was like 8 minutes I spent with her on the carpet and just kind of like breaking down like why she made changes or the changes that she had in mind, the core of what she wanted to keep from the games, and like her position in it. And I do wonder if I do get the privilege to talk with her, like when season 2 happens, is how much that shifts, because now I'm wondering how much of an impact she actually had in some of the choices that were made versus the people who weren't connected to the series. And I wonder if the parts that we really love, because I mean, I love Halo, but I literally just messed around in multiplayer and did co-op stuff and didn't care about the story because I was busy trying to get my warthog stuck so that somebody would get mad at me. So I have a very like different connection with it. And so for me, like the high action, I was like, oh yeah, this is multiplayer. But I wonder if those pieces that we deeply love is what she put in. And everything else that is being pushed by like a typical typical drama, or like the typical standards, because it has a very typical hero's journey archetype piece. You have a chosen person, you have like he's Jesus essentially, like you have all of these pieces going into it that are just rehashed science fiction pieces, that I do wonder if the pieces that are special are from Kiki and everything else was just kind of what they felt they needed to do to tell the story to a general audience and kind of missed the point on blending the two.
Yeah, it does feel like too, especially with the budgetary side of this too, it feels like when a studio puts its fingers and stuff, right? That the writing seems a little, the writing was tough in some of this, some of the dialogue was bad, you know what I mean? Like I feel like if they just let the creators have a little bit more, or even the actors too, improv a little bit, like, get some humanity in there, I think that could be a better spot. But
I agree.
One word answer, are we looking forward to season 2? Reiner?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Right now, after watching it, no, but I think, a couple months from now, I'll probably be like, kind of want to see where they go.
It's the longest one word in history.
There was no spaces in between it all. Yeah. Shay? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Kate?
I'm a yes.
Okay. Cool. I like the whole gambit there.
I mean, if we're gonna do the explainer part of that, I think that there's a lot of potential there. I think that if they take the feedback that a lot of people are giving them very loudly, I might add, I think that it could be a really awesome show, as long as they maintain some portion of their creative vision, but then they just tweak the things that people obviously didn't like. And if they do that and they add in more action and make it so Chief is a little bit truer to his character and these other characters feel more true to the universe, I think that they could have a hit in season 2. But if they just continue on the path they're on right now, I think that I would not be interested in the second season.
My hope for it comes from working with Paramount Plus as a critic, is that they give critics a lot of access. They may not do a full season, but they will do a couple of episodes and then give you everything each episode. And because they're a young platform, they have been very responsive to both critic and fan feedback in other shows, especially the Star Trek series. And I think that is something that can benefit Halo being on Paramount versus Halo being on a Netflix.
Sure.
Right?
For sure.
Interesting.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And also something along that line is, don't forget, even though it's not a streaming show, this is the studio that brought us Sonic the Hedgehog, and we saw how they reacted to the fan feedback there.
Yep.
They put Sonic's weird teeth on Cortana, and it looked great. Ladies
I will
and
say
gentlemen,
one last thing that is very much to their credit. Expert use of the Halo song went in the final battle. That was really well done.
Very good. Yeah.
Hey, did we like Chief better when he was a virgin, or no?
I think he was.
I'm torn.
He
torn
got
on
his
that.
leadership back. He's feeling.
Yeah.
He's feeling good.
He went through puberty. That's what happened.
That was the arc.
This is perfect, ladies and gentlemen. This has been almost 9 weeks of us ripping and roaring about the Halo show. Thank you so much for taking this journey with us. This is just the start. We were talking today about where we want to do the discussion based stuff next, and I'm going to lean on y'all, the community, to tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, and I want to do a game. We were talking about maybe Obi-Wan, so let me know. But thank you for joining us on this journey. This has been the Halo series review. Maybe I don't think we're coming back for season 2, but we will be back, I promise you. Thank you all. Thank you to my panel for joining us. Be good to one another, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.